Hi guys, wee Bob here, and it's community question time. I haven't done a video in ages, and I've been meaning to. I've got my can of juice somewhere around here. Yep, and it's a bit cold in this room. This room's a kind of outlying room, so it gets a wee bit cold. It doesn't have as much insulation in the walls as the other rooms in the house, so I've got my hoodie on to try and keep me warm. So this community question has been on my mind. I've come up with a kind of plan for community questions going forward. Sorry, I'm just moving stuff around. And it's kind of themes about things that have happened in my life, like Del Boy 3K1 Retrozone. If you don't know his channel, go check it out. But he does this blog which I watch kind of religiously. Just usually I'm doing DIY or some sort of thing around the house, and I like how he tells stories about his life every now and again, whether it be Pinfest or something from back in the day or another part of his life when he went to America. I find it quite interesting to listen along to him. And similar to Alan Mainmeister, I quite like listening. Now, to be fair, I know probably Alan's stories off by heart, but I thought, why not do some of my own stories and then turn them into community questions? So, not so much a weekly blog as such, but more an episode of life. And this one's to do with bridges. So the community question, and I'll lead into my story about life. The community question is, can you give me your top 5? Now, I struggled a wee bit with 5. I was going to make it top 3, but there is plenty out there. But I was trying to think of things that have had an impact and are in my brain. But it's to do with bridge scenes or crossing scenes. So, for example, the most famous one that has come up and was going to make my list, but it was a bit too obvious, is the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, I want to say. And that's when Gandalf crosses and meets the Balrog, you shall not pass. And he stabs his staff into the bridge. And Gandalf fell, as the book tells us. So, yeah. You've got the hobbits running to do a crossing. Now, one of them, once you hear my 5, you'll maybe get a better idea what I mean, because I want to kind of leave it quite loose. And the reason for that is I struggled to find specific things that made. There's a lot of bridge scenes out there. You just have to type in like Copilot or ChatGPT, and it'll give you a lot of things where there's bridges exploding, or 2012 it freezes over. A lot of the Marvel movies use bridges as well. I notice my voice looks a bit weird, so I'm going to check it out and then maybe start re-recording. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my headphones on. I was just checking that my voice sync was on there. I know Muckman Movies struggles a wee bit with that on his phone recently. And I've had that in the past, but thankfully I use DaVinci Resolve, which is a free PC. Well, you can pay for it, but they've got a free version. And you can then sync up your tracks if you notice that your voice and your sync are out of alignment. It's pretty easy to do. You just have to unlink the 2 clips and then slide them along. So that's pretty good. So bridges, yes, bridges like Bridge of Khazad-dûm, 2012. So I gave you some examples. So it leads me on a story, and it's a story that's burned into my brain about life. And I was maybe around, I'm trying to think what age I would have been, but I was brought up in a town called Irvine, and they had a bridge, and I'll probably put some sort of image on the screen. They had a bridge called the Bailey Bridge. It was an iron bridge that was meant to be a temporary structure. Now, it's been updated since. It was updated relatively recently for a kind of more architectural, nice bridge. But this bridge at the day didn't have a way for people to cross. You had to walk a way far down. It was at least probably half a mile to the pedestrian bridge to get across the river. That would probably be the River Irvine, surprisingly. I might put a wee map up and kind of show you. But my friend, he lived near this bridge, and we were young and kids. I think it would probably be late 80s. It definitely would have been late 80s because I would have still been at primary school. It would have been late 80s, and we were out just playing around, and we were like, right, we need to get across to the other side of this bridge, but the Bailey Bridge is only for cars, and there was like a centre section it was like you could see the river below and between the centre section, because I think it was like two sides that were kind of jointed together. Again, memories are a wee bit weird that way. You think you remember something, but you don't. So that this bridge was needing to get to the other side, and I was like, no, we can't. I can't do that. I was quite a sensible kid, wee bit of a nerd, but my friend was a bit more daring, and his name was Cameron, and we started. He's like, oh, we'll just cross the middle. We'll just cross the middle. And it's quite busy now. Back in the 80s, there was a lot less cars than there is today, but we're like, we'll just cross it. It's not that far, and you'll see from the picture, it wasn't a big bridge. As a kid, it was huge, though, as these things tend to be in your memory. You're like, everything's big. You go to primary school these days, or like if you were to go back to your primary school, I think you guys would call it something else around the world. I don't know if it's called. It's not certainly not called primary school. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, so if you go into one of your schools when you were younger, the chairs are titchy, they're tiny, and you're just like a big monster in comparison. So the opposite was true when you were a kid. Everything seemed massive, everything seemed huge because of your smaller body scale. So me and my friend starts crossing this bridge, and we're kind of hanging onto this edge bit, and we've got our feet on this kind of ledge crossing the bridge. It was a wee bit like something from Stand By Me, which you can have in your best bridge scenes of all time, if that's what you want. It was on my mind, but it's not in my top 5. Just checking, I had my phone with me, which has got the stuff on it. So me and my friend were crossing this bridge. We're crossing it. The cars are zoom past us, and it's that way you see something and time seems to slow down. And me as this kid was like, oh my goodness, I am scared. If my mum caught me, I would be in so much trouble. And just at that point, I look round and it's like slow motion. I see my mum's face kind of going by in the car, and I see her kind of mouth going, and she recognises me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I am in so much trouble. So I can't really remember what happened after that, because I must have went into a state of shock, or a state of, oh my goodness, I am in so much trouble. But I continued across the bridge with my friend. We had a day, and I think my friend's mum got a phone call from my mum saying I was to get home straight away, and I got absolutely hammered for crossing that bridge. Not physically, but just my mum went absolutely through me. She shouted at me. She gave me into so much trouble about how much danger I was in. And obviously she just cared about me. She cared that I wasn't going to get hurt. And in her mind, I was crossing this really busy bridge. Everything passing by you. And it's just one of those memories that's burned into my brain. My mum's face, and just the look of horror, the look of rage, and I remember getting into bother so much. Don't remember what my punishment would have been. I don't really remember, but that brought me on to my community question. But before I get to that, I was literally just down the town, and I was in the charity shops, because I like to go around the charity shops just to see what I can see. And I picked up a couple of things, and I figured I would just show you them, since this is a kind of blog, vlog, community question, not a traditional one. But I picked up a movie called Point Break. Now, I think there is a bridge scene in here somewhere, but that wasn't making my list because it wasn't in my brain. But yeah, it was only £1.50 for this, and it seemed to have some special features on it, which I was quite interested to see. If you've not seen Point Break, it's a movie with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. It's a kind of bank robbery story. It's one of my favourite movies, to be honest. Not in the top 10 or anything like that, but it is a movie that I loved back in the day, and I seen it for £1.50. I was like, right, grab that now, because I don't need it in 4K. It's just a movie I might want to watch over again, and I'm just trying to pick up movies that I know I'm going to watch. So behind me here is my CRT TV, and I've got it hooked up to a PlayStation 3, which means I can play my DVDs. Just going to fix this microphone a wee bit. So what I also seen was the Jaws 2-disc special edition DVD. Again, there's not like an inlay or anything with this. It was £1, so you can't really complain for £1. Obviously the Jaws disc is round the wrong way, but both discs are in there, which is nice. and really quite happy to have. I've already got Jaws, but I don't think it's a special edition. Definitely not with that artwork. And I'm not a collector. It was just I looked at the back and it was like there's over 2 hours behind the scenes documentary from the set. I've not seen very many Jaws documentary stuff. I know there's a big anniversary edition out this year, which I did a wee drawing for. I'll maybe chuck some of that up on the screen at the same time. So that was my 2 pickups today. All of £2.50 being spent. I did go into the other charity shops, but I didn't see anything. That was my phone. Don't know, I was getting a notification there. So, yes, that's my pickups for today. They'll go in with my DVD Blu-ray collection. I did start watching The Terminator yesterday. My wife was out at work. She was meant to be back shift. And I was like, I've got all these 4K movies. Well, not all these 4Ks. I've maybe got like 15 or 20. I've not got that many. It might not even be as many as that. I've just started my 4K collection. I've got a Panasonic, the one that everybody says that you should buy, but it's only been played like twice. I've got an OLED TV, a big 75-inch OLED that I bought last year. And just the difference between that and my LG 4K that I had before, which used to band the brightness across the screen. Like if you had a title screen and the black was there, it would look, the LED would go brighter in the centre where the kind of text was, which as soon as I got that TV I noticed it. I was like, oh my goodness, this is not the best. And I had my projector, which was 1080p, but so I might go down the projector route, but I'm happy with my OLED. But I was watching The Terminator yesterday and I was astounded. I was watching it, just my eyes were kind of like that, watching there's a car park scene and they're shooting each other and you can see the sparks coming off from the shotgun. And it was just, I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, geez, oh. And I literally out loud said that with nobody around. My wife, fortunately for her, or unfortunately for me, she got away from work early. So I only got about 58 minutes into The Terminator last night. But just to see these things in 4K, I mean, there is the downside, which is the fake side of it. You can, some of their makeup, because it's so clear. I think, what do you call him? Michael Bean's got a cut in his chin, and you're looking at it going, that doesn't look the best, and the Arnie makeup looks a bit kind of too good. As in, you can see the outline of some of the scar plasters that they put on the actors' faces and different things like that. But just the colour that you can see and these sparks flying out, I was just like, whoa. And that's obviously not, that's from the fake bullets or whatever they use in the movies. So, yeah, getting to the community question, I know that I've been blabbing now for 10 minutes. Still a lot less than Dell's blogs, which are like 2 hours. But to be fair, they seem to fly by for me because I'm usually doing something else. And I'm like, oh, is that 2 hours already? Really? And I then have to go and find that, usually an Ian Hill and Del Boy discussion about movies, which I probably prefer to the gaming side. I tend to have more involvement with movies, which I think I mentioned in my previous video. So, the question, bridges or crossings, and I'm going to bring up my notes once I can find them. I took a picture. And this turns out, now these are not really in any particular order, so I'm just going to start from the top, and it leads on from The Terminator. So the bridge scene or the crossing scene that I'm talking about here, again, and this is to give you an idea as well as to what answers you can give, and that is the bit where John Connor, and so we'll just start by saying there will be spoilers in here, so I'll give you a few seconds before I tell you the bridge scene in case you've not seen the movie, whatever that may be. So the first one's Terminator 2, and there's a bridge scene, and John Connor is on his motorbike and he's into the storm drains of LA and he's going down, and most people all know the scene. The T-1000 is chasing him in this in this lorry or truck, and he smashes through the bridge, crashing down into the basin of this storm drainage massive thing in LA. I mean, there's nothing like that here. You get the odd culvert, as we would call it. but nothing of that size that I can think of. But yeah, he's getting chased down the storm drains of LA, which is a great scene, and it just sticks in my brain because I remember the panicked feeling when immediately, because you've seen Terminator, and as a kid seen Terminator 2, and you know they'll never stop. They're robots, they just won't stop, so they just keep going, and you know this guy's relentless. He's just going to keep going, and this is a new thing because the Terminator's this liquid alloy metal. He doesn't seem to react the same way. He seems to be able to self heal, so he's invulnerable. He's totally invincible, and as scary as this young kid who's probably around the same age I would have been at the time. Maybe I would have been a bit younger. But him getting chased down by this Terminator really scared me, and the fact that the Terminator was willing to just chuck this truck straight off the edge of the bridge. So the next one I'm going to mention is kind of not a scene. It's just well, as a scene, it's a scene in most of the movies. This is a multi-movie franchise, but it is the Glenfinnan Viaduct. And the reason that comes to mind is I remember seeing the movie and seeing the viaduct and everybody talking about that being in Scotland. And I've seen people do a lot of long walks around that area, and I've been on the train, and I'm probably going to put the footage up of me on the train and us crossing the Glenfinnan Viaduct, which was really a great experience. We paid quite a bit of money for it. We got a little, what do you call it, an actual compartment to ourselves, so it was just me and 4 of my daughters. I've only got 4 daughters. I don't know why I said that. I think it's all of my daughters are with me. My wife couldn't make it, and my boy didn't make it from memory. So you go and you go to Mallaig, and we got some fish and chips that day. But yeah, that scene from Harry Potter where the viaduct coming across to Hogwarts, the school that everybody wanted to go to. If you're a Harry Potter fan, that is. I'm starting to kind of getting back into Harry Potter. They've just releasing the Audible books that are done by like a cast, and they've got the various sound effects in the background, which is nice. You've kind of got, like, if it goes to the owl, you hear the owls in the background, and they've got different actors playing the different voices, some of them quite well respected or well known actors and actresses, or they're all actors now these days. Okay, so that's the Glenfinnan Viaduct. The next one, and again, this is to try and give you an idea of what I mean by bridge scenes, and it's a movie called Baby Driver. So if you haven't seen it, it's the opening scene, so it's not a major spoiler. But I was sitting one night, had my projector down. I think I had either the sound on or I had my headphones on, something where I could have the sound up loud. And I just was seeing this movie, Baby Driver, know nothing about it. I try to avoid any knowledge for all movies that I watch, because my brain's got a way of, if I see a trailer, I see the scene start and I'm like, I already know how this scene plays out. For example, if you take Alien Romulus, the trailer had the scene of all the facehuggers bursting through the door, so my brain logs the door shape and then what's happening with the door, so when I watch the movie it's not a surprise. So I try to avoid all trailers and any kind of knowledge of movies as much as I possibly can. Obviously you do need a tiny amount to see what the movie's generally about. But anything visual, I've got a way of connecting the dots, and it doesn't help. So Baby Driver, sitting there at night, turn this movie on, kid kind of with his earpods in, sitting in this red Subaru, and he's in with a group of other people. I think there's 2 guys and a girl, and they're going to rob a bank, and he's a getaway driver, and he just puts his music on, and the doom doom. It's if you watch even just the start on YouTube, it's a song called Bell Bottom. Again, I'm not saying I'm going to be a fan of that music, but it really works with the movie, with that scene, the kind of beat. And the whole movie's based on music. The whole movie's based on the beat of different songs, and he uses songs to help him drive, help him to keep. There's another reason he listens to music, but you need to watch the movie to find that out. It's a great movie. It is probably one I will pick up on 4K if I can, or Blu-ray. And it's just, so the scene and the reason that there's a bridge is that he's trying to escape the police, driving away. The drive scene, the cinematography is amazing. Just every kind of way you can think about a car scene, all those old fashioned kind of camera angles and different things like that. But the one scene is, I'm like, how's he going to get away? There's a helicopter in the sky. He's got a bright red Subaru. How's he going to get away? And he drives under this bridge, and there happens to be two. Well, he plans this sort of. He sees these two other red cars, and he kind of swaps around and amongst them. Like if you put a ball under like 3 cups and you mix them around, where's the ball? And when he comes out from the bridge, the helicopter's obviously trying to figure out which one is it, which one is the bad people, if that's what you want to say. I'm just going to take a wee quick pause. My nose is kind of stuffy, so it's annoying me. And then I'll come back. Okay, so that's me back, and talked about Baby Driver, so that's that scene. So I've done Terminator 2, I've done the Glenfin Viaduct, and we've got Baby Driver, so that's me get 3, 2 more to go. So I'll probably go with, leave my kind of one that sticks in my brain the most to last. But the next one, again, is a crossing. It's not a bridge. It's not your kind of traditional bridge scene. It is a crossing, and it's from the movie The Golden Child. So if you've not seen that, maybe this is a spoiler for you. But The Golden Child, again, it's a movie I grew up with. I loved it. Eddie Murphy was hilarious. I loved Eddie Murphy in a lot of different, not in everything, but in a lot of different roles. He's very, very funny. And in The Golden Child, he has to go and get this sacred knife that's part of the story. And when he gets to this kind of monk's temple, he kind of walks in, and there's this kind of rotating thing. He's got to rotate it to speak. And it's kind of a kind of comedic scene. He's standing there, I want the knife, and he kind of rolls this kind of, it's like a pillar with like a rotating golden thing on it, and he's got to roll it to speak. And he makes the joke, he kind of does it like a DJ, he goes, I want the knife. And I find that hilarious. I think it's great. But then he's got to cross this chasm, and it's like jumping from pole to pole, and he's like, they're like, what happens if I fall? Where's the floor? And he's kind of making a joke because he's like, where's the floor? And as a kid, this really scared me. I mean, I've spoke about me growing up in the church, so angels and demons was something I was told about all the time, and I had a great fear for the supernatural. I still do. Not so much these days, but I still have beliefs in different things. So this chasm of hell, and the Golden Child is kind of, there's like this devil kind of guy, played by a famous actor. He's in loads of things, like The Last Action Hero, and pretty sure he's in the same guy that's in Game of Thrones, Tyrion Lannister, or I could be totally wrong on that, so apologies if I'm talking rubbish. So yeah, Eddie Murphy has to cross this bridge to get this sacred knife. And like it says, for me it was just the fear in the pit of my stomach. If he falls, he's going to hell. He's going to the abyss. He's going to some really bad. And I was just like, no, don't fall. And there's like moments where he's close to falling in. Just very scary. I just remember it sticking in, even though it's a funny movie, it stuck in my brain as being quite an intense scene. But not as intense as the last one. And there's another crossing. And if anybody's ever seen Cliffhanger, you've got the introduction bit. Amazing kind of flyover, the helicopter coming across the mountains, with this music playing in the background. And you get to the point where the helicopter's doing, and these days this would have been all done by drone, probably in CGI. But you see them on this cliff. And I don't have a fear for heights, but the drone's going round and round, and you then get to where you're in with Sylvester Stallone, and he's up there with, it's actually a guy and his girlfriend. I can't remember the actor who plays the guy, but Sylvester Stallone's come in to save them because the girl's hurt, or he's hurt his ankle, I think it is, or she's hurt her ankle. Somebody's hurt their ankle, and they do this kind of rope crossing that goes from one mountain to another where the helicopter can land. And so the guy goes first and he gets across, and then the girls goes, and this is, I mean, it's just looking at it nowadays. I've watched it recently, and it's just the CGI and it's really, really bad. But back then, the pit of my stomach just fell in. I mean, the girl's in the middle of this rope, and then she kind of starts to fall, and Sylvester Stallone, he gets on and goes out to the middle, and she falls down and she grabs his arm, and you see the glove slipping off, and I just, again, just that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. And I think that's where I struggled with this. So that scene is not as horrible. It's not a nice scene. In the same way, the Golden Child, it's about a kind of falling into the abyss. So it's quite scary. But it's, what do you... I think that's why they stuck with me. But yours might be Final Destination. It might be Major. There's a scene with Magneto, I think, who moves the whole Golden Gate Bridge because it's superhero stuff, and that might be your thing. So I would be interested in hearing what you have to say. What is it that drove you to remember that scene? As I'm not going to go through them all. If you just type in bridge scenes, or if you're really struggling like I was, I used Copilot and I said, give me top 100 obscure movies with bridge and crossing scenes, and then asked for the mainstream ones. So like I says, the Lord of the Rings being one of the top ones that comes up. There's plenty more. Nearly every movie, or there's hundreds and hundreds of movies with bridge scenes or crossing scenes. I don't want to mention them all because I want you guys to come up with them. I've mentioned Stand By Me, and I've mentioned Lord of the Rings. There's another 5 in my head straight away. But yeah, that's mine. Let me know if you want to join in, leave a video response, or just to leave a comment. And I know I'll not get that many videos, that many views on this, but hoping to get the art started again. I do have a lot of overtime coming up in the next weekend. I'm kind of working weekend. This is my weekend off. I'm working some of next weekend off, working weekend after that, weekend off, then working the weekend after that. It's all a bit crazy because of the end of the financial year, so we're just trying to do things. Thankfully, we've got the first one out the road, and I wasn't out for that one, but it went okay. A lot of the time we're doing stuff with high voltage, so there's a bit of danger involved, and if we get it wrong, it can have quite severe consequences, which usually I'm there to advise the guys that are doing the kind of high voltage switching, and just to keep them safe as much as I can. Obviously, they've got their own training, but I'm usually there as the kind of engineer that helps or advises and specifies the PPE they need to wear or runs them through procedures. But as always, nerve-wracking to do these high voltage switching operations. We don't do them often where I work. But any kind of electrical work, which I'm an electrical engineer, so I'm always involved in something that involves electricity, which I'm weirdly more comfortable with than lifting operations when you've got these cranes up high. I don't like that. It's just too visual, again, for me, whereas electricity is not that visual. But I know usually when things are good to go and when they're not. So anyway, you didn't really need to know that part. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. This will be quite a long video, but I don't mind. It's shorter than Dell's. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. Swifto and Down the Rabbit Hole, Ian Hill, The Ramblings, if you watch this, Alan, and all the other people. You've got Craig Flanagan, who's another good guy that we go to Arcade Club with, which is coming up soon. I'll probably have forgot to mention somebody, but thank you very much for watching, and Wee Bob is out. Bye.